And welcome once again to the bulletin brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, says Ghana would still maintain close economic ties with South Africa, which is yet to sign onto the Continental Free Trade Agreement. Africa's second biggest economy pulled out of the pact, citing technical reasons. But speaking to Joy Business ahead of a trade mission to that country, Mr. Grant said Ghana is still committed to boosting trade and investments for the benefit of both countries.
Opening doors and opportunities in the continent is very clear. I'm sure you've heard, you definitely know a lot about the President's call that Africa should move away from aid to trade, and there's no better demonstration of that intra-Africa trade. And South Africa has been, in the recent years, a very aggressive investor across the continent, especially in Ghana. We've seen some of the malls that have got South African shops in them. Some of them were constructed by South African investors. South Africans looking at the agricultural space, agri-processing space. And so for us, they remain a very important trade partner, but also a good partner of investment capital. And so as they come over to see what's here, we also go over there to deepen the trade relationships. We take Ghanaian business people to South Africa, take them to different parts of South Africa, and we've consistently seen growth in the business coming from that interaction and engagement. They are an important trade partner for us, and also an important investment capital source. But not only that, the South Africa also facilitates a lot of attraction from other parts of the world, only because some of the major financial sector players are in South Africa. And so we try to marry the two. And as we go closer and closer to the Continental Free Trade Agreement, we also like to deepen our relationships. But we do have some significant numbers. But if you look at Game, ShopRite, and a number of the shops, they're South African. And they are spreading across the coast and then going further inland. Some of the construction companies, WBHO, JLL, they all came from South Africa. And they are engaged in some of the major infrastructural programs and projects that you are seeing across.
Chirani Gold Mine Limited has adopted quarterly meetings with community stakeholders as a strategy to foster cordial relations with the communities within which it operates. The mining firm says this has prevented agitations between the mining company and surrounding communities. President Akufo-Addo at the 12th West African Mining and Power Conference lamented the poor state of communities where mining companies operate. Vice President and General Manager of Kinross Chirani Gold Company Limited, Adriano Sobrera, has been speaking to Love Business as the firm celebrates 25 years of operations in Ghana.
Kinross Chirani Gold Company Limited started operations in 1993, producing approximately 226 kilos, which is 80,000 gold equivalent ounces, but is currently producing an average of 7 tons of gold, which is 2.5 million gold equivalent ounces annually. It has a diverse portfolio of mines in Ghana, Mauritania, Brazil, Chile, Russia, and US. Management says its foremost contribution is by ensuring that over 9,000 workers job safely. For Chirani Mines, the lifespan of its operations is expected to end in 2 years. Vice President and General Manager Adriano Sobrera, at a ceremony to commemorate the 25 years of operations in Ghana, says the mine is undergoing exploration programs to extend its life beyond 2020.
How do we stay at those levels? How do we stay above 200,000 ounces at Chirani so that we can remain relevant in the Kinross stable into the future? That helps us as Chirani to move into the future and further into the future. And provided we maintain and we improve our cost structure, which thanks to everybody here and those that are not here, we are in a position now to start looking further into the future. So that's a huge thanks from everybody for the hard work that you guys have put in to make sure that we can keep going at Toronto. The question is how long? And the important thing is that we do the right things for the right reasons. And one area is we have to make sure, as we've done in the last year, from 2017 to 18, we've got to continue dropping our costs, but we've got to do it sensibly, and we've got to do it knowing that we create a future.
One issue that often comes up in the mining sector is the relationship with local communities and the impact that the mine has on them. Mr. Subrera explains why the company has not encountered any confrontations between the local community.
Where we don't only visit the local communities at the local assemblies, or we have a CCC, which is the sort of the decision-making body within the communities and the mines. So we get together on a regular basis. Once a quarter, we have a formal meeting, and we have all the community leaders and we have all the stakeholders in this region where these communities are. Police, health, educators, everybody's there, the MC of the region, and we have a good relationship. It's very, very good. In fact, you know, at the turn of the year, I visited all three of the paramounts. And the question is, how can we help you? What is it which we can do as a company within our own constraints? What can we do to help you? And we make sure that we then prioritize those projects and we assist where we can.
The Chirano mine, which Kinross acquired in 2010, is an important mine for the company and has consistently contributed to its overall business performance, helping maintain its status as a senior gold mining company. Prince Apia reporting.
President Akufo-Addo has directed the Microfinance and Small Loans Center, MASLOC, to allocate 50% of its loan portfolio to women entrepreneurs. According to him, the move is aimed at empowering women economically. President Akufo-Addo also directed that 30% of local contracts be reserved for women. He was addressing the Ghana Women Entrepreneurship Summit underway in Accra.
In the words of our illustrious compatriot, the former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, and I quote, "Gender equality is more than a goal in itself. It is a precondition for meeting the challenge of reducing poverty, promoting sustainable development, and building good governance," unquote. The Microfinance and Small Loans Center, MASLOC, program has in this respect been directed to disburse 50% of its loans to women engaged in small-scale farming and businesses. Government has also put in place a deliberate policy of strengthening the capacity of local businesses by ensuring that 70% of all government-funded contracts or projects are awarded to local contractors. Out of this, initially 30% of the contracts or projects are being awarded to women.
In other news tonight, the National Petroleum Authority says much progress is being made for the successful rollout of the cylinder recirculation model. CEO of the NPA, Hassan Tampoli, has reassured the new model will give way for newly branded cylinders that fit the pockets of all Ghanaians. Speaking at a media engagement, Mr. Tampoli also revealed that 18 LPG marketers have so far submitted the applications and are being assessed to give them the green light to start the new CRM. There's more in this report.
Which will have not less than 4 or 6 people. In some jurisdictions, you have redistribution companies in the value chain, also employing not less than 4. Then you have the retailers, or in the value chain. In a typical example of Peru, they have 77 LPG marketing companies. So I'd like you to do some mathematics now. 77 LPG marketing companies employing between 5 and 10 people. Then you have 110 LPG bottling plants across the country, also having about 30 or so employees. 1,500 distribution centers, and then about 5,000 redistribution centers. And they have 22,000 retail outlets across the country. 22,000 retail outlets across the country. Now, retail outlets employ 1 or 2 depending on the size. Assuming we are dealing with 1, that's 22,000 easily. Then you do the rest of them. And we are talking about not less than 100,000 employees within the LPG value chain alone. So if you hear things like, we are going to have job losses, job losses, job losses, I beg to differ, because the facts do not support that conclusion. The facts do not support that conclusion. We have to give this policy a chance. We have to roll it out, see how it deals with our peculiar challenges, and going forward, as we move along, they say that it's the person who is charting the path who doesn't see whether it is crooked or not. You are here. All of us are in this room. We'll chart the path together, and we'll look back and see where we have faulted, we correct them, and then we keep charting the path. That is the spirit in which we are implementing this. And we are not inflexible. We are not inflexible. We are ready to accommodate new perspectives, new suggestions, new ways of doing what we already have decided to do, so that together we can roll out a policy that is viable, that is going to lead to an increased penetration of LPG distribution, that is also secure our health, safety, and security, and that is also creates more and more jobs along the value chain.
Group CEO of Clydeston, an IT solutions company, Paul Jakwe, says his outfit will not delist from the Ghana Stock Exchange despite the financial challenges it's faced with. He made this known when his company took its turn on the Ghana Stock Exchange's facts behind the figures in Accra.
Delisting is not something we are going to do. We believe that in giving value to shareholders, you must obviously come out with good results. You must come out with increased profits, give them dividends. And one thing you shouldn't forget about is capital appreciation. Company may not pay dividends regularly, but then in building a business, there are other, other parts of the business that is growing. If it's not dividend, you are growing your infrastructure, you are growing your customer base, and one day somebody obviously can see the value in that. In terms of trading, I think it's a matter of demand and supply. Okay, so I think after these type of engagements, we can see some demand coming and some supply happening. So I can see that in the next coming few months, I'm sure there will be activity on the market.
Last year, the group was suspended for failing some listing requirements. Group CEO Paul Jakwe was of the opinion that the Ghana Stock Exchange could have handled their suspension from the local bourse in a better way. The company had been suspended according to the GSE because they failed to meet their continuing listing obligations in spite of several promptings to do so. The Ghana Stock Exchange lifted the suspension in a press release dated August 28, 2017.
Aviation now, and Aviation Minister Cecilia Abnah-Dapaah has announced that the new Terminal 3 at the Kotoka International Airport will be commissioned in October this year. Now, initially, the boss of the Ghana Airport Company, John Atefa, said the facility was ready for use but would be opened after commissioning in the third quarter of this year. But speaking to Joy Business, the Aviation Minister said the ministry is now looking at October this year.
The new terminal will have capacity to process 1,250 passengers at peak hour and is expected to handle up to 5 million passengers a year. This makes it double the capacity of the current Terminal 2. The terminal will also be equipped with a large retail and commercial area, 3 business lounges, 7 air bridges, and a fully automated baggage handling system. According to the Minister for Aviation, Cecilia Dapa, the terminal will be commissioned in October.
We should have commissioned it. The President will do that honor. We'll have that do us the honor on that day. But it's been pushed to 5th October because of some schedule beyond control.
The Terminal 3 is currently completed and soon to be handed to the Ghana Airports Company Limited.
Now, managers of MTN's public offer, IC Securities, have described initial response from investors as promising, which could result in a successful share sale. MTN last week started selling about 35% of the company's shares to raise 3.47 billion cedis by the end of July. The telecoms giant is hoping to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange by September this year. Now, Chief Executive of the company has been speaking to us, saying that they are working hard to sustain interest in the IPO. We'll bring you that story subsequently. For now, we have to cross over for the launch of this year's National Science and Math Quiz.
And as well, just in case you have ill noble intent, the place is under 24-hour surveillance. So ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kabute Okansi. We would very, very graciously go back to the students from Odogono Secondary School to help us with some great melodies as well. Odogono SHS to help us with some great melodies, keeping us in good stead as we wait for our stakeholders to arrive. Thank you very much. Welcome one more time.
So that's what is happening currently at the launch of the National Science and Math Quiz. We'll go back there shortly. But as we've been saying, after several reports of attacks on mobile money vendors across the country, many agents still operate under dangerous conditions. Sandra Esna-Afenu reports mobile money vendors in parts of Accra have not put in place adequate security systems and instead depend on God for protection.
Robert Boateng has been a victim of mobile money attack 4 times, and for security reasons, he would rather stay behind his counter during the interview. A story he does not want to recount. The best he does these days is to close before the sun goes down.
Before I wasn't closing early, so now I close early because it is like most of them was happening in the night.
Robert said service providers are more concerned about mobile money fraud than the security of merchants.
For them, their security is based on our transaction, not about our money. Do you understand? And they have told us not to. They are looking at the scam aspect, not we being. The scam aspect is where, so they say we shouldn't expose the numbers. We shouldn't be writing the numbers that people send. You understand?
But not your protection.
That's not our protection.
Juliet Asamoah is another mobile money vendor who operates with no security measures. For Juliet, her ultimate security is God.
These wires are not strong, very light, and anybody can break into and attack you. Are you not scared?
Please, no.
Why?
Because the man I serve will never let me down.
And who is the man you serve?
God.
Juliet is not alone.
Although we have city cameras here, but you can't say you have city cameras, so if the persons or any Arabs arrive here, you are secure to maybe search for them or maybe locate them, the city camera. No, but as for me, I know I have God. If you're coming to work every day, you have to pray and put yourself to God, because anything can happen.
Despite consistent reports of mobile money robbery attacks in recent times, several merchants continue to operate with little or no security check in place. Aside some security wires and burglar-proof systems at few vending stations, most merchants still operate under dangerous conditions.
If they are with weapons, you don't need to fight back. You just surrender the money just like that and forget about the money, that's it. But some people will have to do something like they will take the money, they will still give you some injury or something. But then you have to hesitate, because as for me, I will hesitate because I'm a man.
According to the Bank of Ghana, there are currently 217,974 registered mobile money agents as of March 2018. There were 25.3 million registered mobile money accounts same period last year, with 11.2 million active mobile money accounts. Despite the growth, security has been an issue of major concern to many operators. Since the beginning of 2018, about 30 cases of attacks have been reported to the police, with others losing their lives. Some mobile money users have expressed concerns on the development.
Network providers should also assist the vendors in terms of security. Before they even give you a permit to operate, you're supposed to be in a confined place whereby the place is secured.
In a place like where I'm from, in Bubuashe, there are lots of thieves around, so you always check if it's safe. So I normally go to, let's say, a place that has a container.
Others want the closing time of these merchants to be regulated just like the traditional banks, since they are also rendering financial services. But until then, most vendors like Juliet would have no other choice but to keep trusting God for protection. Sandra Sinamapenu, Joy Business.
And as we conclude tonight, we want to bring you our interview of the day. The International Trade Centers launched the She Trades Commonwealth Ghana project for women entrepreneurs in the country. This aims at driving increased trade, productivity and competitiveness for companies owned by women to ensure that they play active roles in international trade. We've been speaking to the Senior Advisor, Women Trade Empowerment at the International Trade Center.
The project's going to last for 2 years, but also part of our approach is working with business support organisations. So that could be, for example, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority or NBSSI, and we're looking to provide them with a lot of the tools, the methodologies and the approaches that we're going to be using, so for training, for capacity building for women entrepreneurs, and sharing those with them so that they'll be able to keep carrying on the support to women entrepreneurs once the project ends. I think, of course, it's always good to work for as long as possible, but this project is one of several initiatives that are taking place to try and support women entrepreneurs. So I think that we're confident that we can achieve a really good result within the time that we have.
We're looking at generating profits or sales worth $38 million by 2020. And what are you going to do with these sales? Is it for these entrepreneurs, or you're going to repatriate the profits?
So it won't be ourselves generating the sales. When I mentioned that target of £28 million, we want the women entrepreneurs that we work with and that we support. The expectation is that they would generate those £28 million worth of additional sales compared to what they have at the moment. So what they do with those funds will be up to them.
And that's it for our program tonight. Thanks for watching. It's brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Remember that we'll be taking you back to the British Council, where the launch of the National Science and Math Quiz is underway. You want to stay tuned for that. For now, there's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business.